Hey everyone, we're back. All right, whoa. Joel, need you back up real quick, please? Thank you, 6 feet. All right, everyone, we are back in the Serious Eats test kitchen. I'm so excited to be back here. I'll take mask off. We all got tested for this shoot. We're looking good. We're excited to be cooking again. Today we are making a French onion soup tart tatin, combining two very famous French things into a savory tart. French onion soup, Tarte Tatin. Combined French onion soup, Tarte Tatin. Perfect for cold weather eating. The first part of this recipe really is rolling out the dough for the crust of the Tarte Tatin. So for this dough, I'm using Stella's classic pie dough. So I'm just gonna flour a board. Stella always says you can be generous with the flour because we can just brush it off after rolling. Get the dough out on the board. And again, you flour the top. You're trying to get to a 10-inch circle. So, you know, I'm not a mathematician, but you can just sort of make it work.
A mathematician?
Yeah, mathematician. I don't know, everyone in the comments can sound off of my terrible rolling technique. I'm not a trained pastry chef.
Are you more of a Fred Durst when it comes to rolling?
I don't like Limp Bizkit, Joel. And so you're cutting a 10-inch circle, like I said. You know, if you've got a nice little protractor situation, you could do that. Or just use a 10-inch skillet that you'll be cooking or baking your tart in. You can use anything that's oven safe. A cast iron pan works great, carbon steel or stainless steel. So now we've got this round and we're gonna make a little border around it. Not like a crimped crust, you don't have to get fancy or anything. So you're just doing like a 1/2 inch and we're looking to get now a 9-inch circle which will fit in our pan afterwards. Boom, 9. So into the fridge 2 hours and then we'll come back and do the rest of this. The dough is chilling in the fridge. I was about to say chilling in the oven. It's not chilling in the oven, it's chilling in the fridge. And we can turn our attention to the onion. So 3 medium-sized yellow onions, one of which gets sliced up thinly, pole to pole, how we always slice onions. The last 2 onions, cut them in half through the root end without taking off the root end, peel them, and then we're just gonna trim the root end while keeping it intact. We wanna keep the onion attached through that root end, but we just don't want all this sort of gnarly bit like that. Then what do we do? I'll answer what we do. We cut through that sucker like so, boom. We've got 2 pieces, we're gonna make those into 4 pieces. How do you do that? Oh, like so. And so you've got this nice, attached, beautiful an eighth onion. I can do math. But you should have 16 pieces. In a traditional tarte tatin, for if you're making an apple tarte tatin, you'd have the apple wedges, slices, and then you'd have a caramel that would fill in that negative space. We don't want, this isn't dessert. We don't want a caramel in here. So what we're gonna do is make a caramelized onion sort of jam that will fill in that negative space. And using some stock to give that flavor of the broth that you would have in a traditional French onion soup. So this is a tablespoon of unsalted butter. We want to cook these down as quickly as possible. One way to speed up that process, always with onions, season them with salt. Salt draws out moisture. And we want to going real rustic with this pepper grinder. Hold on. We're not making au poivre over here. We're doing caramelized onions. We talked about fond. You're starting to see that here, right? Around the sides, perfect. We're moving these around. Just add a couple tablespoons of water at a time, and then kind of scrape that fond up as you go. The onions are gonna cook down, that water's gonna evaporate, and we're just gonna rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. While this is cooking away here, we can sort of get the rest of the tart set up. You want a 10-inch skillet for cooking the tart. It needs to be oven proof. What does that mean? it means it needs to be able to go and withstand high temperatures in the oven. You're gonna be flipping this over. So take your cast iron pan and be honest with yourself. Do you feel comfortable flipping this over? Is it gonna hurt your wrist? Do you have a carpal tunnel issue? Have you, like me, not been doing a ton of at-home workouts because of quarantine? No problem. Stainless steel is a little lighter. We're gonna start with 3 tablespoons of softened, unsalted butter. And then we have a tablespoon of sugar. Clean hand. Get in here, mush it all in there. And you wanna create a nice even layer of butter on the bottom of the pan, and it can come up to size just a touch. Then you're gonna take a tablespoon of sugar and sprinkle it evenly over the pan. And so then we are going to arrange in nice, concentric crop circles the onions into the skillet. So we want the root end pointed towards the center, like that. And we're gonna get each piece in a nice little fanning out situation. This is what it's gonna be flipped over, presentation side. So what's touching the pan is gonna be what people are gonna see, the spectacle of it all. You're gonna have ideally 13 sort of on this outer ring here, and then you'll get a nice little 3-spot in the middle like so. Boom, look at that. Okay, so this will be the last addition of water, I think, before we move on to the next part of this. But you see the onions are starting to get jammy. We're getting continuous fond creation on the sides here. And it just keeps sort of deglazing. And now we're gonna deglaze with just a tablespoon or so of dry sherry. And then we're gonna add some stock here. So this is 3/4 of a cup of, this is beef stock. You can use chicken stock, beef stock, or you can use a store-bought, chicken stock or beef stock. Most of the stock is cooked down, and we want it just to be coating the onions in between a negative space. And then we're just gonna add a dash of fish sauce and cider vinegar. So a 1/4 teaspoon or so, I'm just gonna kill the heat, and this is what we got. And now we're going to sear / caramelize / get some nice color on these onion wedges. High heat, don't touch anything, let it go. So you want to keep an eye on the onions as they're searing, as that sugar is caramelizing. What you want is deep dark brown, not burnt. Nice caramelization of the sugar. You'll sort of notice that the onion wedges start to fan out a little bit between the layers as they cook down. And you may need to do this sort of dance of, moving the skillet around on the burner depending on how even the flame is. So I think we are in a good place here. I feel good about this. I'm getting just like a little bit of charring on the edges, which I like. So we're gonna have the heat low at this point because it's at where I want. And we're gonna get these onions in, fill in all that space. Especially you wanna focus on the space in the center. Everything will get melted together on the heat for 30 seconds, a minute, what have you. Turn off the heat. Next up, we have some Gruyere cheese. You can't have French onion soup without some melty cheese. You want a melting cheese, something with a little bit of funk to it. We need to get a little ventage happening, a little venting. The pie crust isn't gonna let go of all its pent up aggression, not that kind of venting, just we need some steam to be able to escape during baking so that we get a crisp crust and not a soggy one. So we're just gonna do 3 little slits, and then you can do what's called docking, not doxing, docking of the pie crust. You can use one of these sort of torture devices or just use a fork and just make a little tap, 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 tap. And then the last option you have is sort of choose your own adventure here. If you want a little more sort of acidity, a little background savoriness, you have the option of a little bit of mustard on this crust. I really like, but you don't have to. This so something like a nice Dijon, and just sort of spread it around. Don't go crazy. You don't want a ton, like a teaspoon or two. As long as the pie dough is cold, you shouldn't have any issues. Pick it up with your hands and just transfer it. And so we're gonna flip it so that this is in contact with that. This border is gonna sort of hug around and make a nice little home for the onions, and everyone is happy like that. Oh, perfect. Like a glove. It's going in a 400-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes until the crust is golden brown. So 30 minutes, we'll see you then. Pie comes out of the oven and you let it cool for 5 minutes or so, either on your stove top, or you can set up a wire rack on a rimmed baking sheet if you prefer. We are gonna try the flip ski right here. So, plate of the flat variety, or a tray that's flat, needs to be larger, or as large as your pan. You wanna just be confident. So this has been cooling for about 5 minutes. Upside down like so. Secure the plate with your offhand. Then in a smooth motion, you're gonna flip it over and wait for it to release. And release, release. There we go. Oh, we've got stickage. But we're gonna figure this out. It's gonna be great. All right, so we're going to play a little game of operation here. We want this to look perfect, but we can also make it look better, and at the end of the day, it's just gonna taste great. And see, we like successfully, put it all back together. It's Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Onion, looks good to me. The tart has cooled. We are now ready to eat, slice, serve up the tart. Treat yourself, It's been a hard year. Give yourself a real slice. This is gonna be great. Can't wait to try it. So you got the sweetness of the caramelized onions, a little bit of char on the outside from the caramelization of the sugar. You've got that nice sort of nutty Gruyere cheese in the background there, with just a hint of tang from the Dijon mustard, all with this crispy, flaky, buttery crust. You can serve this up as an appetizer, delicious, or just, it's a cold night out. You want to treat yourself to a nice, soothing, stick to your ribs dish. Make this perfect. It's like soup in tart form. French onion soup, Tarte Tatin. I'm gonna keep eating. It's really, really good.